The following is a presentation of TFNN. Trade what you see with Larry Pesavento. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Larry Pesavento.
Okay, looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. Well, first of all, I want to change the format just a little bit today. I want to start out. We had Norm Winsky on our show from Astro Trend on Wednesday, and one of the things that he featured, he only had three things that he talked about, was the coffee market. And as you can see from this chart here, it was within 2 minutes of the exact time that Norm said that it was going to drop. Folks, that's 14 handles in coffee. That's over $4,000. That's really an amazing prediction, in my opinion. But if you take a look at, let's just go back and look at the coffee on the daily basis, and you can see it was making a perfect 61% retracement, ABCD Gartley pattern at that exact time, and bada bing, bada boom, it really took a big hit. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why we have him on the show, because he gives us some really good spots. Folks, the reason why I talk a little bit about this coffee thing today is I don't trade coffee at all, but the Astro part is what's been interesting. I got interested in this back in the early 70s when Twentyman and I were studying W.D. Gann and stuff. And when I was at Drexel Burnham, early in my years at Drexel Burnham, around 77, a woman came into my office and said that she knew how to trade silver using astrology. And I says, well, why did you pick me? And she said, well, someone over at the Dean Witter office said that you were the specialist in astrology. And I had done a little bit of work with Gann, and that was about the extent of it. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll open up a $5,000 account with you, and you tell me what the orders are, and we'll split the profits. And she said, okay. And so we started to do that, and she would call me up. The very first order, this is one of my favorite stories, by the way. On the very first order, she called up and she says, I want to buy silver at 7:17 a.m. And I said, 7:17 in the morning. And I said, okay. So when that time came, I called a little bit before because I was kind of busy that morning. I called the order desk at the Goldberg Brothers in New York, and I told them, I said, I wanted to buy silver at 7:17 a.m. Pacific time. And he said, are you kidding me? He says, we can't take that order. I says, what do you mean? He said, you want to buy at 7:17 a.m. in the first minute, or 7:17 a.m. at the 59th minute? And I said, I just want to buy it at 7:17 a.m. And they said, that's a DRT. And I said, what's that mean? He said, disregard time. And I said, look, how about if I call up at 7:17 a.m. and I'll buy it at the market? He said, good, no problem. He says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm just doing some timing stuff for one of my customers. And I said, okay. So I did the order, and so I realized that I'm going to have an alarm clock. So I sent my secretary over to Walgreens, which was right down the street there in Beverly Hills, and I said, pick me up an alarm clock so that if I do this, we'll see, so I know what the time is. Well, she picked out the loudest alarm clock. I mean, even the fire department wouldn't use this one. Anyway, this thing would go off. And after a couple of times, everybody in the market and everybody in the Drexel office, there were like 23 brokers on the ground floor, and they said that they were making all kinds of fun of me. The problem is, after about 5 straight winning trades, everybody stopped laughing and they started coattailing. In other words, they would be buying it too. I didn't know about this until much later, but that's how it all started and how I got interested in the astrology part and all that stuff. She made 19 straight winning trades, and then she disappeared. Her name was Mary Rivers. I had a private detective who was one of my customers at Drexel, tried to find her. He couldn't find her. She had gotten divorced and evidently moved away She'd always went over to the Dean Witter office in Santa Monica because they had a Bunko Ramo board there. And when she was set there with the rest of the yard birds, and I think what she probably did was to tell someone what she was doing, and they made her a better offer. But she picked up her first couple of checks, but after that, I didn't see her after the last three trades that we did. So I don't know whatever happened to her or anything, but that's what got me interested in astrology. However, what we did do is after she had left, Twentyman figured out, look, we know the exact time that she's buying and selling. Let's just go to the ephemeris and figure out, what she's doing. So we did, and after a period of time, Twentyman came up with the fact that she was using silver as it went as Moon went into Scorpio, as I recall, that was a bullish sign for silver. I'm doing this from memory. And believe me, the old gray matter is, turning a little darker each day. But as I recall, it was Moon in Scorpio, and it had a window of about 2.5 days, and that was a very bullish sign. But the problem was that it was a very bullish market. And you remember, this was 1977, and silver was on its way from 1976 to 1980. It was a big bull market. If you went back in history and tested it, you would have seen that I believe it was about 60% right, as I recall. And here again, I'm going from memory. And I'll double check that Moon in Scorpio. I've got it in one of my books. I'm sure that's what it was. Well, I'm not sure, but pretty sure. Anyway, that's how we got to it. Let's get to this. We got Rich Anderson coming on, of course, to talk about the grains. We got a lot of stuff coming in the grains. We got this full moon coming on the 26th. So anyway, I just wanted to give Norm a heads up, hats off and a heads up and a tip of the hat for that. That is almost as good as the call that he made in May the 19th of 2015 when he had the stock market top within 10 minutes. That was when we had the moon was new moon, and Mercury was moving to retrograde motion at that time. So when these things come up, take a look at them. That's basically that's it. Anyway, I don't trade coffee, so neither here nor there. Anyway, we'll take a look. Let's take a look here at the gold market for just a minute here this morning. We're having some pretty good action this morning. It's going up and down like it usually does. But I wanted to, we've already talked about the potential of what gold has. Let's just put this up here on the long-term weekly basis. And here's what we're looking at here on a long-term weekly. And that is we're setting at a point where if we can get above $1,300 an ounce, I think we'll be heading at least to $1,450. That would be an ABCD pattern off of the 3 drive to a bottom pattern that we made back in December. And if we fail, there's a possibility we could go down and make another bottom at 1030. At 1038. Remember, this is a down market, folks. As you can see, that B point was a 382 retracement. We were watching that very, very closely when it hit that 1383 level. But if we can get above 1300, then that's going to be something pretty significant in the gold market. So I would be really interested in that. Yes, there's an easy possibility gold could see 850. And the reason for that is that's the old high from 1980 on January 20th. 877-927-6648.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile based scanner in the industry, powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Larry takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
We've got a caller from Boston, Massachusetts. Jay, are you there?
Hi, I am. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. What can we do for you?
First of all, thanks for asking Bill Cerubi about the two different schools of astrology, and it was encouraging to hear him say he uses both of them. I like that.
How did you know his real name?
Just from hunting around on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he uses Bill Meridian as a pen name because he worked, in Saudi Arabia for quite a while. Well, Abu Dhabi. But anyway, go ahead. What were you going to mention?
Yeah. Question would be this. If somebody felt inclined to think that Marine Le Pen is going to start pulling ahead of the other three candidates in France, what would be a good way to take advantage of that in the market? I mean, shorting the euro. What would you think?
That's my guess, because that's one of her platforms. From what I understand, is she would like to take them out of the mix. What I would do, because it has a really high risk, because if she would lose and one of those other, one of the Bernie Sanders types would win, it might make the euro rally even more. So you might want to look at an out of the money put, like say 2 strikes, like it's at 107 right now, so you take a look at about a 105 strike price in a put. That's the way I would do it. That, because you could have a $2,000, $3,000 handle on that if something would really break. I believe that the euro is going to break into this. This is Friday, so this is the last day. We're already 80 pips below the fib point, which came in at that 107.80 yesterday, and so my guess is that we're going to be it's going to be heading down. But the only way I would recommend doing it would be a put spread, or do a put spread. In other words, you sell a call and buy a put with a debit balance, so that it's only going to cost you a few $100s. And if you're right, you're going to have limited profit potential, but you're going to have a really limited loss, and that's the main thing. You'd have to check with a someone that really understands options, Jay. That's the only way I would do it.
Yeah. Otherwise, do you think because there are 4 candidates here? Bill
Yes.
talked about 2 of them, but there are 4, and they're neck and neck. It's like 23, 22, 19.
Yeah. That's if you believe those polls.
Yeah.
And believe me, I don't believe the polls. I mean, that's just that just doesn't make any sense to me, the way they talk about this. But he's been spot on. He's given us 3 things. He gave us the Trump thing. He told us Hillary was going to be having trouble, and then he had the Brexit thing also. So there's something there, I guess. I don't know exactly, but he's a smart dude. That's all I know.
Oh yeah, I heard him speak at MIT, and I was mightily impressed. And so wasn't everyone else in the room. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy too. That's
Yeah, he's intense. What a thinker! The wheels in his head, they don't stop turning.
Oh my goodness, yeah, he's a calculator for sure. I don't know if you know this or not, but he's one of these guys that develops these games for video games, these war games.
Really?
Yeah, and he's done the Civil War things and World War II, Battle of the Bulge type stuff, but he did that as a hobby for many, many years.
Oh yeah, and that's rocket science stuff too.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
I taught him most of what he knows.
Yeah, good stuff, Larry.
Well, he's a fun guy to hang out with, too. Hey, listen, thanks for calling in, Jay. We really appreciate it.
Enjoy your weekend.
Okay. By the way, if you run into my grandson today, say hello. He's in Boston, seeing all the sights.
Oh yeah, I'm looking for that. I'm still looking for him. He's got the surfer like.
Yeah, he's got his surfboard. He's got his surfboard on. He'll have a Pismo Beach life jacket. That's what he likes to wear. So.
Oh, I'll notice that.
All right.
Good stuff.
Listen, thanks for calling in. You bet.
Thanks, though.
You bet. Okay, folks, we want to be chatting here just a tiny bit. We got Earl. Sorry about that, Doc. We're going to have Rich Anderson on in just a few minutes, in about 8 minutes, to talk to us about the grains. We've got some big things happening in these grain markets, which you want to pay, really close attention to. So that's a main thing to focus on today and tomorrow. Remember, we have this full moon coming up, and Larry Williams just finished some really interesting research on the lunar cycle with the meal, and we want to really keep an eye on this meal as we come into this full moon on the 26th. So we want to watch that very, very closely. Now, we've already posted the DAX for a 15-minute chart. Next thing we want to do is we want to look at the DAX on a 4-hour chart here. And as you can see here, we did hit the exact number down there. And where the ABCD patterns came together, we've had just a very slight rally compared with what happened in the U.S. The U.S., we rallied all the way up, to the 61% retracement level. So the DAX is starting to wane just a little bit. That's probably a direct result of what this election means, because if the euro leaves the eurozone, the Germany is going to be out there holding the short end of the stick, and that's going to be something that is going to be pretty tough to to be what's going on. Okay, they've asked me to take a look at the E-mini S&P. Gosh, I thought I did it this morning, but I don't think I did. Doggone it. Let me think this. Well, all I can tell you, folks, I still think that we're looking at this here on the end. This is the Dow Jones. Let me put this up here. The charts are pretty much the same. We had a big rally yesterday, and the only way this pattern will fail is if we get above 2373 in the S&P, then this pattern would not be good. Other than that, I still believe we're getting ready to complete this pattern that is happening right now. So whether that's, and believe me, just because the market rallies 200 points in a day, we've seen this over and over again, that this is how these bottoms are made. It goes up and then it slams down, even harder. What we're saying about this Dow is that the biggest down move we've had now has been 300 and some points, and if you multiply that out by your 1.618, it tells us that we should see a move sometime between now and the end of April to early May of a move around 500 points. That's what we think could be, and that would be a pretty good bottom. So you want to be ready, to be looking at things to possibly being a buy. That's the main thing that you want to keep an eye on as we come into this really important full moon that we have here on the 26th. And of course, this French elections is the Sunday, the 23rd, and I'm sure they'll be rocking and rolling at that time. Those of you that subscribe to the 24/7 Fibonacci service, I will certainly be doing videos Sunday night and sending those out to look at some profit opportunities, because there should be some real doozies in there. But as we look at this morning, as we come into Friday, with the euro doing what it's doing, it certainly appears that the euro does want to break, because we had a beautiful ABCD pattern in that to the downside. Excuse me, a rally to the upside. It stopped right at the 61% retracement of the last move to the exact tick, and so that would tell us that the bias would most probably be to the downside. Stay tuned for Rich Anderson, 877-927-6648.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters. In quiet markets, investors search for new trading opportunities. We'd like to introduce you to a new product that provides opportunities even in flat markets. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a new and innovative Chicago-based exchange registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their trading platform. Nadex never charges a fee to use their platform, which even includes real-time charts and full customization capability. Nadex's unique short-term binary options allow traders and investors to capitalize on strategies even when the underlying markets are quiet. Nadex's innovation has allowed them to come up with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com, or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Technomental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Technomental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, we're back, folks, and we have our guest, Rich Anderson of Anderson Capital Management, on this morning. Rich, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. It's going to be in the 60s today.
Oh, that's good. That's better than 60 below. Hey, Rich, let's start out with the wheat market today. We went down and made new lows on the year yesterday. What are you seeing or hearing here in the wheat market?
Well, a week ago, they were worried about the weather, and that's, helped the market to have a little rally. And then the weather changed, and the market's come right back down. The funds have record shorts in the wheat. So when and if any problem develops, that'll turn into a positive development. I mean, there'll be the boats loaded on the short side, and we'll have to wait and see, what causes the change to occur. There's just there's a lot of grain around the world everywhere, and wheat is one of them where there's a lot of grain. I noticed that we love to double bottom these days. 420 was the low back in December, and we've taken that out. We'll see if the shorts have the, see how many more bullets they have to press.
Yep. Right. If it stops right here, it's going to be a great buy, and we've seen this over and over again as far as these double bottoms. Now, Rich, have you had any information coming in from some of your big traders about this election that they're having in France?
Well, the thing I would say about that is that it's who Miss Le Pen looks like, she'll go on to the runoff. The key is who the second place person is. And in elections, well, in politics, events are often the bigger driving factor than economics or anything else. And certainly, I mean, they're on television debating yesterday when somebody shoots a policeman. That certainly solidified Le Pen. It knocks the most liberal person, in my opinion, out of the play, which is Mélenchon, or I'm not very good at pronouncing their names. And so
no one is.
The runoff is what you really want to focus on.
Sure. Wow.
And listen, I don't know that Le Pen can gain that much more traction above her base in the runoff, and so that's why the number two person is who's going to come in number two. And they were all kind of tightly together, and if you ask every person, would you want an immigrant who's going to come and shoot our policeman? The answer is no. We wouldn't want to let him in. Not that everyone is gonna, but so they have to be more particular.
Sure. Rich, we have another question from one of our listeners this morning, and that is the growing conditions. How are they starting as we start the planting and stuff? How does it look?
Well, they're dang near perfect. As an example, in the wheat, they were concerned about some moisture issues, and all of a sudden we get the rain, and you saw what happened to wheat this week. I think we lost 24 cents, give or take. And the shorts have a record short. I mean, open interest was up in the wheat, 16,000 in Chicago, and almost 5,000 in Kansas City. But that rain has caused pain in the grains. There's no doubt about it. But the average for good to excellent, which is what most people look at, it comes out every Monday, is 46%. I think last week's number for wheat was 57%. Things look great. They're getting the corn in. There's no delay at this time to worry about the corn. But eventually we'll have something to worry about. The markets are pretty good about that. Who knows what it is right now.
I just got a special report from our good friend Larry Williams down in St. Croix, and he is really bullish on wheat from a seasonal standpoint, and then also from a historical standpoint. And so I don't know, how do you feel about meal in here? I mean, it looks really bullish to me because, we're having a pullback here, but it looks like it's got a lot of support at $300 a ton. What's your feeling?
Well, we have this huge South American crop that's coming on, and that huge crop is going to be competition for the rest of the world, in particular for the U.S. Now, we're competitive with South America right now. I think that, as an example, one of the major banks said their 3 to 6 month forecast for soybeans is 850. Well, that's allowing that we don't have any weather issues or planting issues in the next, in the next 3 months. And I'm counting on something like that. I'm thinking that you're likely to see the meal and the beans holding here. They've had a pretty good sell-off, but there's just a lot of everything, and we're going to have to compete with South America. And if our dollar gets stronger, that'll be putting pressure on our commodities, and that's something that we have to look at. I think one of the most interesting things I heard about was the private meeting that Goldman Sachs had, where Paul Tudor Jones said that Yellen should be worried about the stock prices. The anticipation that we'll have tax cuts that will meaningfully impact the earnings capability of the U.S. stock market is made things rather fully priced, shall we say.
I wasn't invited to that meeting. How did you get your invitation?
I wasn't either. I just heard about it. But he's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah. Well, most of the guys at Goldman Sachs, they don't hire dummies over there. Yeah, they sure are. Rich, I want to ask you another question, and that was about the oil market. We're down just a little bit today, but we've sold off about $4 a barrel here in the last few days. Do you hear anything about the oil complex from any of your friends?
Well, we our shale stuff increase in production has jumped a bunch, and it's going to continue to increase probably another 200,000 barrels. One of the things you look at when you're watching markets is the internals, kind of like watching oil pressure on your engine when you're driving your car or flying a plane, and especially a plane because when you're up in the sky, you can't change the oil, But well, you get the picture.
That's a good one.
In any case, if you look at the carry, we were rather flat, and now all of a sudden, these summer months when we have the peak demand have gone to a discount to the back end months when we don't have. As we build that carry, that tells you there's internal weakness in the structure of that market. And heck, I've watched hog traders in Chicago, and not only do they watch the charts, but they're also watching the structure and the spread relationships of all the markets during the day, as much as they are the charts. And it's really big in things like oil, which are very storable commodities. So that tells you that there's a lot of supply there. And demand's going to increase. Summer driving season demand always increases, but supply is increasing just as fast.
Okay, stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. Rich Anderson, Anderson Capital Management.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
TFNN has put together the finest live programming lineup each trading day, featuring some of the most knowledgeable and respected financial minds in the nation to educate traders and investors. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we broadcast 9 hours a day starting at 8 a.m. as John Logan kicks us off each trading day with the Global Market Pulse. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we broadcast 11 hours. Get an early and healthy start to your day as Nico and Paige bring you Living a Primal Lifestyle. Then catch Andy Hecht at 5 p.m. with the Commodities Hour, following the Tom O'Brien Show. Mondays and Fridays, catch live trading on the Nadex platform with hosts Tom and Tommy O'Brien, along with Daryl Martin on the Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. See the TFNN program lineup via the link on the front page of TFNN.com to get a complete overview of our TFNN shows and hosts. And keep TFNN's Tiger TV tuned in on your mobile device, PC, or Mac for the latest financial news and information throughout the broadcasting day. TFNN, educating investors.
Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
The Bull Bear Binary Option Hour, sponsored by Nadex. Up next on TFNN.
Okay, we're back. We're talking with Rich Anderson of Anderson Capital Management. Rich, I posted a chart of June hogs, and what happened to the hog market here? I mean, it's just took a flying well into here these last few days.
I know that. Well, first of all, the April went off the board, and the May and June are going down to where April was, and you also have the cash market is down in that neighborhood. Actually, the last week in June is one of the better times, the last week in April is one of the better times to buy the June hogs and sell the June cattle. And notice that the April cattle went up to where the February cattle went off the board, 27.12, and then pushed on through there. And the June cattle are at a record discount, but it's just adjusting down to where the cash is. Now, the cash normally will firm up as we go forward into the summer as the demand increases, and that's why the last week in April is normally the time to be buying the hogs and selling the cattle, although with a discount on the cattle. I don't know how I feel about that just yet. I'm strictly go with the technicals.
Rich, you and I have known each other for more than 40 years. Do you ever remember any year where we didn't have at least one crop scare?
No, usually there's 3. The actual fact is that the corn plant has a maximum need for moisture, daily moisture need, that peaks around the second week of July. I mean, this is a big country, so in certain parts of the country it's different than others, but just as far as the market's concerned, let's call it the second week in July. The soybean plant actual daily needs for moisture kind of peaks in the middle of August. And so until we get into that second week of July, the opportunity exists for, problems planning. The machinery is so big that the problems planning is only a temporary thing. But then all of a sudden, if the rain doesn't continue on a regular basis, you start to have problems, and that's when you get the big reactions. I will add, though, that in the soybeans right now, I'm watching July, November beans. Again, the internals, like watching the oil pressure. And this year, we're fooling around at par between July and November. And if we go to a negative, and with all the beans available, if the bear case is it, and if the big bank that went to a 850 forecast for the next 3 to 6 months, then the July-November will go minus 20 or 30 cents. And so that's, right now that's showing you that there's some concern in the bean market about supply, even though the board's kind of holding. If you look at where that spread is versus where the market is, that spread took out the last fourth quarter lows ages ago. Now, a year ago, we had the same kind of situation, but that spread sold off hard and then held and started to firm up, and indeed the beans firmed up. And so that's one of the internal indicators that I watch closely.
Rich, I heard from one of our friends about the fact that some of these, agricultural banks are worried about, loaning money out for the crops because they're afraid that when they come in, they might not even have a place to store them. You heard anything about that?
Well, you have two kinds of farmers. You got those that pay cash for the land, and the bankers are still concerned because, when you go into get your loan and you say, well, I've got all this land, the banker says, I know, but that doesn't really count because you're never going to sell it anyway. And there's some truth to that. Now that we had a bumper crop last year, and we were able to deal with it. Rail cars, because now we have pipelines to move oil. We have more rail cars than we used to have, and because they were using it for oil, and now they'll be using it for grain. And I think they'll there's always the harvest glut, but they'll work through it. They're just worried about some of the young farmers are somewhat leveraged because you've got high cash rent prices, and the break evens. The break evens are barely green for corn, and that's why you're having more beans planted this year, because you got a much better chance of a profitable crop of beans than you do corn.
Okay, we have a question from one of our listeners, and that is, how are you positioning yourself for the French elections on Sunday?
Well, I tend to not try and play geopolitical events, but if I were, I think the pound has solid in here. I think the yen's a sale. I think the bigger election is the runoff in 2 weeks. And I think the biggest troublesome spot was Mélenchon, the liberalist of the candidates, and I think with the events yesterday, he has been eliminated as a player, as a player to be number two in this one. And so it's really who is Le Pen running against, and that's the one that I'll be more focused on in 2 weeks.
Okay. So you think the one in 2 weeks that will be the one
that has more impact.
Ah, okay. I wasn't. I follow geopolitical events like I follow, new events in, global warming. So I don't know anything of what's going on, but you see reactions of what's happening there. We have another question for one of our listeners, and that's about the gold market. Are you seeing or hearing anything about gold?
Well, I hear that there's pretty good demand for gold. That's where people have been. But a stronger dollar in the U.S. will put pressure on gold for U.S. People. I look at the chart, and it looks to me like it's just developed a little sideways trend here for the last 3, 4, or 5 days, and it could back up $20. I think eventually the inflation is going to be the thing. If we get infrastructure, we don't have that many unemployed workers, and so if they actually are able to do something in Washington and get an infrastructure program, we're going to have inflation and wage inflation, and then there'll be commodity inflation for the hard materials like cement and iron and stuff like that, and that'll light some of these markets up.
Sure. But we'll have to have a weak dollar in order to get these commodity prices up, won't we?
I know, and right now that doesn't seem to be necessarily going to be the case. They're also talking about, they'll have a 50 or 100-year notes, bonds to finance some of this infrastructure. And I might add on the oil, one of the big reason that the bulls want to keep that up is Saudi wants to sell part of their oil company, and in order to sell it at a maximum price, they need the oil prices higher. So, they've got every reason to support it, and they're the big dog. They can wag the tail anytime they want.
Well, that's for sure. They seem to be doing that without any trouble at all. Well, listen, we want to thank you for being on our show today. We'll have you on again soon. Do we have any major crop reports coming out in the grains?
Next month, about 11th, 12th.
Maybe we'll have you on then. Thanks a lot.
There's weeklies, and then there's big ones about the 10th and 11th every month.
We'll be back with you then. Thanks a lot.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, we're back, folks, and I've posted the chart that I think is the most important coming up here this next week. As you can see here in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we do have 3 targets coming in around this 20,200 level. That's the third gap in the Dow. There's another one just below 19,000 that is also rather important, but we've already filled the first 2. The third one, of course, comes in at 20,200. We had a pretty good rally yesterday. Whether we continue that or not today remains to be seen. But if we do get above the 20,700 level, in the Dow, then I think you could have 20,800. Then you could have a little bit more of a rally. Now the Nasdaq has still been the bullish picture, and believe me, that's 6 stocks, folks. That's Apple, Google, Facebook. What are the other ones? Amazon and 2 others that are running the whole show over there because they're high capped stocks and they're high price. So that's where the action is. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on this overall because we've had a pretty good correction here. Nothing much, just a normal one. And we do have this big full moon coming up here on the 26th, which should be, a very interesting one. As Norm Winsky pointed out, and also Bill Meridian from Cycles Research, both of them pointed out that we have some really strong cycle stuff here in April towards this last week, which we'll be coming up to it next week. So this will be really interesting to watch. But we do have good volatility coming in now, which is something that we certainly like to see. We did get the VIX up to 15, and then it's backed off, which is pretty much normal, but we'll see how that works out a little bit later on. Also, in the future, we're going to have Dr. Al Larson from Money Tides out of Thornton, Colorado. Will be coming in on our guest. He wrote that book about the moon, that is Your Electric Life. That's a really great book on how these lunar things, do affect these markets in some respect. So, and also we'll be keeping an eye on these grains too, because we've got some real strong seasonals coming in here. 877-927-6648.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.